Hello, Big Boss here, Rescue Chief of Humane Emergency Animal Rescue. Welcome back to another Animal Rescue Postmortem. This one is going to cover the Maui fires and just some of the lessons learned that reinforce why we prepare and we prepare this the way that we do. And before I get into the videos and all the content that I do here, hopefully this will be a real short video, but what I want you to understand is in the fire service, in the fire department, every time we have an incident, we come back and we do what's called a postmortem. Now they use the after action report because it's the new cool way of saying things. It's called a postmortem. We did postmortems. That's why this series called Postmortem. And the whole intent of the postmortem is to look at what was done, whether it was something good, something bad, what went right, what went wrong, why did those things happen, what could be done better in the future, who did what, why did they do that, and make particular decisions. It's to learn, to get better, to improve. That's the only intent. It is not to point fingers at people, assign blame, or attack individuals. That is the opposite of the purpose of the postmortem. It's educate ourselves so we can make better decisions in the future. Okay? So that's cleared up. Make sure you understand I'm not attacking individuals in here. I'm only discussing their actions. Okay? So that should clear that up. Let's start off with my list here. Remember, we're talking about the lessons learned from the Maui fire of my notes are right over there. You can't see them. 8 August 2023. And after all of the footage, I've watched probably maybe 2 hours of footage, possibly 3, I don't think that much. But I've watched a lot of footage on the fires where there is news media coverage that I don't trust. And then there were people who lived there that were taking video footage immediately after the major fire had passed. So there's still fires burning and smoke in the background. That's how soon after some of that footage was. So I'm going to trust that instead of like these official sources because they've proven themselves to be very unreliable and to have an agenda. Okay, that said that I've watched that footage. This is where I formulated this list that I have here. And this list contains what I think are lessons learned that reinforce the way and why we prepare the way we do for emergencies and disasters. And then I'm going to take a quick look at my little note here and why, or not why, but what do I mean by an emergency disaster preparedness? What I mean by that is a constant state of readiness. You're well prepared. You have a good plan in place. You have your cache of stuff that's ready to go if you need to evacuate, or you have your cache in place if you're going to shelter in place during an event and not go anywhere except into your living room or whatever. Okay, and then I have my note to myself here. Weeds. Notice about items below on the list. I'm not going to get off into the weeds about like high detail about each individual item. The whole point of this is to inspire you to use the website that I'm going to show you, and then that'll lead you to further websites that will help you make better plans. And that's what we want you to do. I want to motivate you to go and do that. Alright, so let's start off with my list. The unexpected can happen at any time. Anybody that works in emergency services will be able to tell you that the unexpected is happening right this moment. You and I don't know what's going on, but somebody in a fire department, an ambulance service, or police department knows something's going on because they're responding there. And then this all relates to situational awareness here. Situational awareness is essential to survival. Having a well-tested plan is essential to survival. And here's the fact. You can't rely on government services to notify or protect you. They have no obligation to do that. No legal obligation to do that. And the thing to remember that on every emergency scene is human error is always present. Human error is always present on that scene. It's waiting for everybody to show up. All right. Next, I'm going to show you a video here. Let me switch over to this section down there. And we're going to look at this video of a firefighter from California. And what this demonstrates is situational awareness, being prepared, the importance of having a plan, and that if you have all of those things in place, it can work to your advantage and be successful. So let's listen to what this guy has to say here.
So we saw the smoke in the back again. It looked like it was from the same spot it was before. I went back into the house and started working on it, and then a short time later my wife came out and said that smoke's getting really black. I think it's starting to burn houses. So I quit working on the house. I came out to watch the fire, and it just charged down the back hill coming down Lahaina Luna. And we started thinking about, well, is it going to get bad? I said, we're okay if the wind doesn't change and come this way, because it was blowing straight down the hill. But just to be cautious, being from California and knowing how disasters go, we loaded up the car with all of our important stuff, and I had fire hose down at the fire hydrant down here where I was going to try to protect the house myself, and the fire hydrant was dry. There was no water. The hoses had no water. So at that point I told her just to go ahead and get out of here, and started trying to encourage my neighbors to leave too. So I decided to stay, and I stayed and watched it, and it burned all the way down Lahaina Luna into town. I could see that from here up on the lanai. And then later on I looked out back, and it was burning in the grass coming around the back side of the house. I still thought maybe I was okay because there's a dirt road back there and maybe it won't jump the road. But there was a car back there that caught on fire on the mountainside, and the flames bent across the road, started a fence and a shed on fire that then caught a house on fire. And at that point I didn't think there was any way that my house was going to survive. So I stayed here as long as I could, and then once the houses behind me started to catch on fire right across the street from me, I took the car and I drove out, and I drove it to the construction site behind me that has a big dirt area that's clear and open, and kind of sat there for a minute and watched what the fire was doing. And it wasn't really moving toward my house fast. It was mostly going straight down the hill. So I came in my back gate, and all I had was 3 buckets of water. I thought, well, if an ember catches a box or some furniture on fire, my furniture on the lanai or something like that, maybe I could put it out before my house did. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that for me. One of my neighbor's house over here, once it started catching on fire, when it first started, I threw a couple buckets of water on it, half buckets, and then the wind changed again, the windows broke out, and it just went up, and there was nothing I could do. So I stayed here the whole night. I was up a total of 40 hours by the time the whole thing was over, and before I finally went down and took a bath in the ocean, because I was just completely covered in dirt and soot and everything else and smoke. So nothing that I particularly did saved my house, but I just had plans to, hopefully, if something were to come up, a small fire into the house or in the gutters or something like that from debris, that I could put that out. My neighbor's back, Ohana, right next door to me, it burned down. I was concerned that it was going to catch his house on fire than mine. And my only plan there that I had was, he has a gazebo back there. I had my Sawzall ready to cut it down and push it over away from the house if it started to catch on fire. So yeah, it was just me here, kind of running around doing anything I could, and luckily, just the way the winds kept changing directions, it kept zigzagging. It would blow straight down the hill, then it would blow toward the northwest, and it would blow toward the southwest, and just kind of zigzagged. And you can kind of see that pattern looking around the houses here of how it went around my house. So the construction zone is really the only thing that saved me behind the house, having that big dirt area, I think.
We know that they had a shortage of water. Can you explain a little bit why it can have caused that?
Yeah, the way they're explaining it is the pump stations that supply the municipal water source here are powered by electricity. And when the fire came down Lahaina Luna and hit the power substation, it put the power out to everything. And apparently that's what made there be no water. I've seen that in a few different places in California, like the Paradise Fire, the Camp Fire up in Paradise. was a similar situation. There was just no water to fight the fire. And with the winds going that strong, you can't really stop it anyway. But in places like this where it zigzags around the house, you can help put one house out and keep one from catching on fire here and there. But there was just nothing. I felt totally helpless. I was ready to go. I've been through a lot of these fires in California. I felt safe, and I was hoping that I could make a difference, but I had no water.
By your understanding, should the people, but the firefighters had like monitored the fire afterwards when they say that it was 100% contained?
The only thing I can compare it to is what we do in California, and we always leave someone there at the fire and to patrol it and make sure that hot spots don't come up, especially on a wind event like this. I had heard, I don't know if it's just a rumor or not, that there were other fires, so they had to leave to go to other fires, and because I know with all the power lines dropping all over the town that certainly could have been the case, but I don't know that for sure.
And that leads to my other question about, a lot of people are saying that police were blocking people to try to escape or evacuate the town. Some say that they seemed that they were going in circle. Do you know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's exactly what my neighbors said. They came home for the first time yesterday, and they said that when they were trying to leave the town down low, they tried to head out to the south side and get out, and then the police diverted them back toward town, and they were like, but that's where the fire is, and that's where it's coming from. We're not going that way. And they were a little bit more local people and kind of disobeyed them and found their way out. Another friend even had to go the wrong way on a one-way street because, there's a couple one-way streets down there, and the two-way street was completely blocked by power lines and a tree, and he just had to go all the way up that street and find a way around. So, but it was hard to do because there's cars, people had abandoned their cars, and trees, power lines, everything just made it a total obstacle course, and there was no clear way to get out. It was just kind of an instinct thing for people that did make it out.
Okay, we've seen that footage. That's very revealing what this guy says here. Because I'm going to go back to my lessons learned notes here. The unexpected could happen at any time. That's reinforced there. Situational awareness is essential to survival. That absolutely was demonstrated here. They knew it was coming. Okay? They followed their plan, and it worked. The wife evacuated. He stayed on the scene. But eventually he moved away from the structure to get in a zone where he couldn't be burned. We're talking about a dirt pad. If you're doing wildland firefighting, sometimes they'll say you get in the black. And the reason you get into the black is because that means it's already been burnt. It's not going to burn again. So that's one of your safe zones. Anyway, that's where he went. He went to an area of safety where it was just dirt. And it's not going to, depending on how the close proximity to structures, it shouldn't overrun you there. Remember, we're talking about space. That's space dependent. And then having that well-tested plan is essential. And then you can't rely on government services to notify or protect you. Just like he said, we have the same plan here. We have fire hose. We have 2.5-inch line. We have a nozzle here to connect up to it, and a hydrant wrench. And if we have a hurricane here, when the fire department's not going to respond, hydrant pressure, as long as there's water in the hydrant, will be sufficient enough to help keep a fire from spreading from one structure to another. There's a lot of variables in that. All right, firefighters, I know you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. But anyway, so there we go. We have proof. And then he had a dry hydrant. If I was in a situation where the hydrant was dry, like what he ran into, that's a major problem. There can only be a few ways that your hydrant can be dry. Just a few off the top of my head. You're in California and there's an earthquake and the water supply lines are severed. That's one way. Another way is the pumps stop pumping. However, there should still be enough water in the system with your water towers. There's a reason that they fill those water towers up. And that's kind of like your reservoir of water and where you get your water pressure. So what drained all the water out so that they didn't have any water to fight fire? That's really suspicious. But if your pumps go down, you're not pumping water. That's that. Same thing for your fire engine. If you have water at the hydrant, but your engine, your pumper's not working, it's back to the bucket brigade, just like he was doing. All right. So and then I'm going to come back to this later, but he did mention where people decided to ignore the police and go around barriers, go up one-way streets, do whatever they had to do to survive. And we'll come back to that later. But I just want you to realize what he said about that, and how those people who ignored what they were saying survived. Okay? And then we'll see the list here. Alright, so my list is, and I think probably maybe I'll just go ahead. Let's see if I can increase the size here a little bit. And I'm going to switch back over to the shared screen here. Oops, that flew back up there. When I do some of my shortcuts, it changes things on other pages. Okay, I can see that that is up and running. Let's talk about situational awareness. If you're situationally aware, people who are situationally aware aren't caught off guard by situations like this. And there is, from the footage that I've seen, there was plenty of time for everyone in the area that was burned, had they been situationally aware, to have evacuated before they got caught in traffic. And here's what we know about everybody who waits to the last minute to evacuate. They get caught in traffic. There are plenty of examples out there, and often when people are caught in traffic, they'll have a medical emergency, and one or a few people will die because they can't get out of the traffic jam. So that's something to keep in mind. But the evidence is there, as far as the video footage goes, that had they all been situationally aware and evacuated early, they probably would not have this problem. And we're going to come to evacuating with your pets here soon. But there's no excuse to not evacuate with your pets. If you have a plan in place, if you have your cash ready to go, and your plan is well rehearsed, there's absolutely no reason, one, that you'll be surprised by an incident, and two, that you're not prepared. Everybody, in my opinion, had plenty of time to evacuate and evacuate with their animals, except for the feral cat colonies that are there. That shouldn't be there, according to me. I disagree with the TNR programs. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, how do you get notified? Well, there's paying attention to what's going on around you, being situationally aware. How can you do that? Well, if you're cleaning the house and you're kind of busy and you're not paying attention, but then your friend knows what's going on because they've been watching television or listening to the radio, and they knows there's a fire in the area, because we're using that fire as an example. You got your old-fashioned phone calling tree, where one person calls another or a group of people, and then they call a group of people, and then on out from there. And then there can be people who are at home who can listen to police scanners. It's called a police scanner, but it can have any frequency in it, and so you could be monitoring the police, the fire, and the ambulance service in your immediate area and listening to what's going on over the radio. That should be really evident. If you can hear that kind of radio traffic, you'll know what's going on, and then you can revert back to the phone tree, calling each other to let each other know. And then there are other ways, like you can have ham radio operators. Those guys oftentimes do have the police scanner to listen to those frequencies, so that could be a really valuable resource for spreading information. And then you have people with GMRS radios. Both of those radio services, the ham and the GMRS radio, do require a license to use. The ham radio license requires a test, and the GMRS radio, you can just pay the fee and get your license. Okay, so that's something that you should look into. And then there's weather radios. Here's where the government failed them. Weather radios are also for use, not for just tornadoes or hurricane warnings, but they can also be used for wildfire warnings. And they weren't here as widely reported. Nobody's saying, hey, they notified us on the weather radio. They're saying they didn't notify us at all. They also have sirens to warn of a tsunami there. They should have a system in place so that if those sirens go off, then that should be an alert to the residents to say the sirens are going off. I need to find out why the sirens are going off. Okay, so there's another situational awareness. However, once again, government let them down intentionally in this case by the person who makes that decision's own admission. And then, okay, I already mentioned local and television. If you're watching that, and this goes back to the phone calling tree, is you find out something's going on. You don't wait until the house next door or the house down the street is on fire. You say that fire is heading towards our entire neighborhood. We need to start alerting everybody and getting everybody out of here. Okay? And then you've got your own eyes and ears. Here's another way that you can clue yourself in. If you see or hear lots of emergency vehicle traffic, lots of sirens from fire engines or other vehicles moving up and down the road, that should clue you in to say, I need to check and see what's going on here. Is there some kind of big operation that I need to know about that may make me consider evacuating or sheltering in place? And then visible in all of the footage that I've seen of Maui during this fire incident, there's heavy smoke. In every view that I could see, unless they were facing out towards the ocean, of smoke coming from all these different directions. So you're looking for those kind of clues. And then, of course, your city, county, and state notification system. They should, they should be notifying you. That's why you put those people in those positions. That's why they're hired. That's why you pay a bunch of taxes to fund them, so they do something like that. But you don't want to be let down by them. And the way to not be let down by them is to attend like the city council, the county council meetings, and put the thumb on those people to make them do what you want them to do. And that's what you're paying them for. And then let's go to phone applications for your cell phone. I think cell phones are a very unreliable form of communication because they can easily be knocked out by either the towers going down. They have a very short range to the towers that they need to be close to towers to operate properly. And then the batteries can go out on you unexpectedly. So if you're not paying attention to that battery level there. However, there are some really good apps for the phone, applications for the phone that can be used in place of the old-fashioned calling tree. There's Everbridge. Everbridge is usually used by cities and counties. I know the community emergency response teams here, they use those. They use Everbridge to make notifications of deployments and other activity that's going on. And then there's Band and Signal. Those are two apps. They're different in the way they operate, but the important thing about Everbridge, Band, and Signal is that you can get alerts on your phone, an audible alert, so that you know something's going on. And you could set a system up so that you own, let's say you have two band groups, and one band group is for everybody to interact and communicate with each other. Your other band group, the only thing that gets sent out on that group is test. You're testing once a month, once a week, however you want to set it up, and then emergency alerts only, so that you know every time you hear something come over that channel or that band group, you're like, I need to pay attention to that. That's an emergency alert of some kind. Okay? And then Signal's kind of like, it's a texting, but you can also do audio recordings on there. And then Nextdoor is a neighbor type app, so you can find out what's going on in your local area. I don't have experience with it. My friend does, and she says it works really good, so you can keep up with, like, if somebody's cars got broken into, people will mention that. If they see suspicious people in the neighborhood, or the coyotes as they're running around down here in Florida in the neighborhoods, they'll put that up on there, so you can get a general idea what's going on in your immediate area. Okay, next we're going to watch 4 videos. And my note above that is saying this: evacuate with your animals is paramount. Evacuating with your animals is paramount. You may never be allowed back onto your own property. And we're seeing that exercised here, and I'll go into that in a video here, or after one of these videos here. But let's go ahead and check in with these videos, okay?
Communities on Maui are continuing to see more animals that survived the fires, and many even have callers and owners waiting to reunite with them. KITV4 Shanila Kabir spoke to many people pushing the county to allow animal rescuers to go into the burn zone and bring their pets back into safety.
Even I lose everything, my cat. I love my cat.
Are you sure your cat is gone?
I don't know.
You don't know, but they won't let the rescuers in to go look.
The group, Save Lahaina Pets, protested outside the mayor's office Friday morning. One even admitted pet owners have been trying to sneak into the blocked-off area to see if their pet is still alive, putting many people in danger.
We have multiple sightings of animals, cats and dogs, chickens, birds in the burn zone that need to be pulled out of there. General Hara updating that he had been in the burn zone 3 times and had never seen any live animals. That is probably because of the fact that he doesn't go in there at night.
The group is demanding Maui County allow rescuers from the Maui Humane Society to go into the burn areas. They also say county officials promised them they could be escorted into their homes to look for their pets, but that has not happened yet. We asked the county about this and haven't heard back.
They are allowing rescue teams to go and get people's belongings, jewelry, safes. So how come it's not safe for pets?
Romina Bengo Hechea has air tags for her cats and is picking up movement for at least one cat. Save Lahaina Pets is planning to keep demonstrating until their fur babies are home safe. To report a lost pet, go to KITV.com and search Lahaina Pets. Shanila Kabir, KITV4 Island News.
And what they're covering in that video is they're saying that they're not even allowing animal rescue personnel to go in there. And I'm going to show you somebody that considers themselves animal rescue in here, and show you the difference between that person and other people who are trained to go into situations like this. But let's stay with this momentum for now. And here's this lady here talking about her cats.
Little girl. They survived in this storm drain right here. And I think this wall right here helped with the heat, because the fire was so hot and burned so fast. And it took a little while, but I just was calling them, and I knew and I felt in my heart that they were here. And I didn't expect to find all of them, but I did. And of course, tears and just hugs. And
the kittens are lucky to be alive. The wildfire that roared through Lahaina earlier this month is among the deadliest in U.S. history. More than 100 people died, and many more are still missing. Richter shot these videos as the fire approached.
I could hear explosions. And I thought maybe it was propane tanks, but it was actually cars and probably tires. So, but every few minutes you would hear boom, boom. Not knowing what it was. It's haunting.
Okay, we'll stop that one there. We'll switch over to this other guy here. Oh, whoops, I had this a little bit backwards here. There we go. I'm going to say this real quick. I find a portion of this footage very suspicious, because the dog images that they show while they're talking about this, or this guy's actually doing the talking here, look like 2 different dogs to me. They look like they're in 2 different locations. And one dog, you can see the pink on his nose, and he may very well have burnt where that outer layer, the pigmented color, may have come off. Or that's that dog's normal color, and then the other dog has that dark pigmented nose. They are 2 different dogs in my opinion here. Anyway, let's watch this.
Identify the body.
Out of the rubble and ash, Richter managed to find his dog with burns to his body.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there. Look at this dog's nose. Okay, and look at its facial structure and its ears. Now, let's let this play.
Pause, but still alive.
They just scream.
Okay, that doesn't look like the same dog to me. And also, it looks like, although I can't see the body clearly in the other footage, this dog looks more overweight than that dog. Clearly, the noses on those dogs are different. There's no way in that other footage over there somehow that nose pigmentation is just there and now it's not here on this dog. It looks like this rock wall. I've seen footage where people are sitting on this rock wall and there's a concrete abutment behind it, and then behind them is a conflagration burning. Their whole city's burning down behind them, and then there's water lapping at their feet over here. Talk about desperate. Okay, so let's let this play out.
His name one last time, and he just popped up. His eyes were just shut, and he was black.
Okay, so he didn't take those photos. He's not talking about that. But so that's why I think that those two images are highly suspect on that. Let me go to my notes real quick. Yeah, I'm doing that right. So, okay, the second video, the dude with the suspicious footage. Okay, why they won't let some people in here? So we're coming up to back to this footage here, and this should have been over here. Let's bring this up for a moment. I'm just going to use the still image part of this to demonstrate a point. This guy calls himself Animal Rescue, but any first responder would look at this image and immediately suspect, one, the guy doesn't have training, and he's certainly not properly equipped to be operating in an emergency site like that, or a disaster zone, burn zone, whatever you want to call it. We've got t-shirt, shorts, bare legs, and then let me let this play for a moment because we can see what he's wearing on his feet. Oh, I'm sorry, that happened beforehand. There it is. Here's what he's wearing on his feet. Did you see that? Alright, tennis shoes. It's hard to see in here, I know. Tennis shoes and socks. I'm not going to let this person come into my emergency zone. I don't want them in there because they're a liability. Okay? Somebody who's acting in this capacity here needs to probably be properly attired, have proper personal protective equipment on, and have the right training. Okay, otherwise they're nothing but a liability on the site. I'm not knocking this guy. Remember, he's trying to do something really good here by feeding all these animals out in the field. And then, I'm just going to use this as an example here, and then we'll go back to this other. So remember, this lady here, she was allowed. Here she is. She's out on the street. For some reason, she was allowed to go back in here, and she has 3 cats, and they're alive. But in this video over here, this lady, wherever she was saying that she said somebody from the government went into that site and didn't see any live animals. Well, let's look at this for a moment. Watch this footage, this segment of the footage here. I'll point out a few things. In this section of the video, you're going to see a lot of chickens, what looked like chickens to me. But what's important here, don't overlook the fact that there are chickens alive in this zone here where they claim that there aren't any live animals. This happened, this footage is almost immediately after the big fires burned over. Because look at all the smoke. You still have part of the structure burning here. This is the roof of a whatever type structure here. It looks like a pavilion or something. And it's still burning. Alright, I've got that muted because it's got music in the background. You see the chickens over there? There's chickens running around here. You see that? Don't tell me there's not live animals in this zone here. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up, we still in that? Yep. Sorry, this is such a chaotic mess. And then the nonsense, zone nonsense. So let's go back to the videos again. Here's actual footage of, these are FEMA teams working inside the zone. So they're saying animal rescue people can't go in there. But FEMA teams can go in there because there's hazards that they just, you know, they can't be in there for them. But these FEMA teams here, this is a Washington State task force. Look at that right there on the back of that guy's uniform. So that tells us what task force they're on from the Washington State. They're on Task Force 1 or 11. I can't tell if there's another number after that. But FEMA, USNR, or US. That's Urban Search and Rescue. That's what USNR stands for, in case you didn't know. Alright, so let's go back for just a moment. Where's this at? Once again, you got utility workers in there. It's okay for them to be in there. However, let's go back to that previous video. That guy's in shorts, short sleeve shorts and tennis shoes. Look at how these people are dressed who are working in this zone. They're properly attired for this kind of work. You need personal protective equipment. You need to be properly equipped and trained. I'm just going to reinforce that over and over, because I know there's all these people like, oh, we should just rush in there and start doing stuff. No. It doesn't work that way. All right, and then so they're saying that they can't go in there. Animal rescue can't go in there, but these guys can go in there. I'm sorry, I'm pointing with my finger, but these people can go in there. Well, I can tell you, I have the same training that all of these people have. Plus, I have firefighting experience. I'm a former paramedic. So there's nothing they can say, well, you can't come in here because reasons. No, I know exactly what I'm doing. That's why I started the animal rescue unit. So the other thing I want to talk about here for a moment is these authorities, whoever's made the decision to prevent them from going back in here to their homes, they've seized their property. Technically, they've seized their property. So there's a 4th and a 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution issue there, because they surrounded it with fencing. They're guarding it with government officials. The National Guard and police departments throughout the United States are over there. And the government's taken that property. They've taken possession of that property. Alright, so anyway, I don't want to get started on all of that nonsense, but, well, that's not nonsense, but you see where I'm going with that. Alright, so we're going to switch back over to this. Let me go over my checklist. So, evacuating with your animals, I'll go back to my original note. Evacuating with your animals is paramount. You may never be allowed back into the property. Okay? That's a problem. So let me switch over here for a moment, and we're going to discuss some things to help out with that. I've queued up a page here, and this is stuff that I think is essential to be maintaining a state of readiness, and that is checklist and plans. Okay, so for instance, we have a master checklist. It should be any checklist, but master checklist, it's laminated, it's prominent, it's easy to access, and everybody knows where it is. It should be kept with your cache, and that's something that you're going to learn about when you go to these other websites and you formulate your emergency plan. Okay, and then individual checklist for each person or kit. It's laminated and stored in the appropriate bag or kit that you've made. And I'll go a little bit of example here in a moment. And then you have your transport crates or carriers, whatever you set up for your particular species of animal. And then the other thing is evacuate. When, where, and when will you be able to return? It's one of the reasons we will hardly ever evacuate because we don't want to be cut off from our home here just because some government official doesn't want us here. So let's look at some checklists here. Here's a sample of individual checklist or inventory, and this would be stored in each kit. So if I had a personal go bag kit, it might have socks, pants, shirts, underwear, toothbrush, whatever in it. And if I had a personal sleeping go bag kit, that might have a pillow, inflatable cushion, blanket, etc. I don't know why that's there. And then you're going to have like a master list. So this is going to be stored with your main cache. Your whole household master checklist is a list of all of the kits that you're going to put. Like if you're going to evacuate in the minivan, all of that stuff's going to go in your minivan. So you have your house go bag, an adult's go bag, the sleeping go bag for each individual, the child's go bag, the animal go bag, your food go bag, your food supplies, crates. And then don't forget when you're evacuating, don't forget the animals. You get everything else. Don't forget the animals. And then I don't have it with me here. Actually, I'll go get it and then I'll bring it back in another segment before we continue. And then as part of your checklist, you have a to-do list before you actually evacuate, or if you're staying in place, what you do when you're sheltering in place. So if you're leaving, you might want to turn off the gas so that if it gets flooded, a flood comes in, the pilot lights don't come in. Put the pilot light out, and now you've got a steady flow of gas in the house that then blows your house up or sets the entire neighborhood on fire. Okay, I'm not saying this should go on your list. Just using these as an example. You might want to turn the main breaker off to the house. Make sure the hurricane panels are all up and in place. That's just a general thing there. I'm just trying to give you a general idea. And then for my Forerunner here, here's what I have. Is this the checklist? Here's the checklist for the Forerunner. This is a list of the contents that are either always on there or they're added on at a later date. So I guess I'll go a little bit slower, but it doesn't matter if you see what's on the list here, because you're going to have your own list. But let me use two lists off of here as an example. Let me go up a little bit faster. Okay, so we got the recovering towing list. Everything that's not highlighted is in the vehicle at all times. All the stuff that's highlighted in what looks like pink to me on this screen is stuff that may get added for a particular mission. Okay? Or it may not go on there, but it's not in there now. That's why it's highlighted. Items are the same way for here. For the medical stuff, when that vehicle's outfitted on a day-to-day basis, it has a fire extinguisher or first aid kit and a triage kit. So it's got this yellow first aid kit in it. Here, it has this triage kit in it. And then if I need it, I'll add my aid bag. This is my personal aid bag that I operate. This is my first line bag here. If I need anything else, then I go to other bags like this trauma bag. Okay? So these other items here may get added later. That aid bag that I just showed you, the Foxtrot litter, the oxygen kit, spare oxygen cylinders, trauma kit, or it might be put in the trailer, depending on the operation, okay? And then, let me see, where's this other list? And then each kit, for instance, we have an advanced first aid kit, an advanced medical pack is really what it is. It's not a first aid kit. And then it's divided up by compartment. Each compartment, this is the master list here. This is the master list for that bag. And then, so it's got the dispensary kit. And then in the dispensary kit, there's going to be a laminated sheet that has all of these contents in it. So if I pull that out to do an inventory on it, I can open it up, look at the contents, check that list, and that will be there. And then I have this master list also, okay? And that if we're out in the field, this kind of stuff is in a 3-ring binder with us. So there's the glucose meter kit, irrigation solutions for eye, magnification kit that contains all these different items in it. You can see there's pharmacy kit, pharmacy tablets kit. And then the Bravo compartment, it's got oral airway refill pack, asthma spacer chamber, battery pack. It's jam-packed full of all kinds of stuff there, okay? And so the point I'm trying to get is you have a master checklist, and then you have individual checklists that are contained in that bag, pouch, kit, whatever you want to call it. It may be a crate, like a plastic crate that you're putting stuff in. Okay, what you're looking at, this is one of those airline cat carriers, or small animal carriers, that's designed to go on an airline and fit in whatever tiny space they allow you to have that. Okay, and then how we have it set up is this is in our closet. There's 2 of these. I'm going to show you a different one and how we use it somewhat. I'm going to explain how we use it. So it's clearly marked. It says emergency crate on it. Oh my gosh, all this hair just came flying off of that thing. Okay, so golly. That's that one. And then the other one, this is the same thing, okay? It's another one of those, it's the same kind of carrier, except this one, it has the, oh my gosh, there is hair everywhere in here. This has that airline type little thing that you can wheel them around on. And so the way these 2 crates, these 2 work here, is this has one of those. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate it somewhat. This has that strap here, okay, on it. And so now there are both of them together. This strap holds this one. Now it's stacked on top of it. So if you're trying to move in a hurry, you can actually put the animal's go bags up here, depending on the weight, of course. But usually it's not that heavy. But you can put other items up here as long as it's not crushing these very soft and flimsy carriers. Alright, but you can see how they'll stack on top of each other like that. And you can move rapidly with the setup like that. And then, so the other thing that I'm going to say about when you're using a crate like that and you're evacuating, you want to put the animal in the crate before you leave the house or whatever structure that they are housed in. You want them in the crate carrier, okay? Crate carrier, don't get caught up on the terminology. When I mean crate, I mean a carrier like the ones I just showed you, or an airline, plastic airline type crate. You want to put them in there before you move them to the transportation vehicle, and leave them in there. And I don't mean like you leave them in there for days out in the baking hot sun. I mean you leave them in there until you get from point A to point B. And you don't have any loose animals inside of your vehicle that you may not be able to control, who's now in a stressful situation that they are gonna, it's out of the ordinary. Now they're rushed into a vehicle, and they're gonna have a fight or flight reaction to that, and they're probably gonna want to run. You want to keep them in there, depending on how long they're going to be in there. You can go 24 hours without water, okay? And they don't need food. Oh, we're going to have to comfort Fido or Felix the cat or Scooby-Doo. You know, they have to have food before we get to Granny's house, where we're going to be, you know, posting up in the living room. They can wait until you get there, so you don't have water sloshing around or food inside that transportation, the crate carrier, until you get to where you're going 24 hours is going to be fine, I assure you. They'll live that long without some food or water, unless they have a medical condition. That's different. But you don't want to give them something that they're going to vomit up, or it's going to create a mess inside your vehicle. Okay? So just think it through. And then the other thing, if you're using airline crates, and then they come in two sections, and you can nest the two sections one inside the other, and store it like that. The thing you want to do is those screw things that hold it together all the way around the edge. Use zip ties. Use zip ties in place of the screws, because you can put one of those together in roughly about 30 seconds to a minute if you have practiced that with the zip ties, because you push the zip tie up, fold it over on itself, slide it down. It's going to take you all of about 2 seconds to do that. You can do one of those in about 30 seconds if you've practiced it. Okay? That's the way that you can set up and deploy your airline type carriers rapidly. That's how we have all of ours stored here. So if there's a big operation and we can't have all of our crates already set up, we can carry a bunch of crates with us and then self-deploy them rapidly, especially if you've got like a couple people and you set up an assembly line. Somebody assembles, puts the door in place, and then the next person starts putting zip ties on it and zip tying that thing together. They'll hold up, I assure you. Okay? Okay, here we are at the homepage of Humane Emergency Animal Rescue, our website. And what you're going to do once you get there, you're going to go over to Emergency and Disaster Preparedness. Click on that, and that's going to take you to our Disaster Preparedness page. It doesn't look like there's much going on here, but what this section, or this page is designed to do is take you to a list of links that will be helpful. So it's broken down by small animal, exotic species, large animal, and then by the state, the links by state. Let's go there real quick. So the links by state are, I've only got two on there right now, Florida and New Jersey. I came across the New Jersey website when I was looking to put this page together for the website. They've got a really great the New Jersey Department of Agriculture Animal Emergency Response. There's a really good page there. I urge you to check it out, especially if you're an animal rescue organization. These people have really got some great ideas that they put into effect, and I'm really impressed by it. For instance, you go here, you go find animal emergency assistance. They have this menu where you can toggle all of this stuff off or on here, so we can do away with all this other stuff here and have just all of the veterinary hospitals listed. We take all the veterinary hospitals off and all the other stuff is gone, and click on, and now we've got all the animal shelters. That is awesome. I hope we're able to do something like that with our website one of these days. And then just general stuff. These Florida links are a great way to get accurate, timely information as it relates to potential disasters here. Hurricanes are going to be the number one thing we're using a website like that for. Okay, now I'm going to go back. We've got the large animals section is pertaining large animals such as horses or livestock or any kind of animal that you might find on a farm like that. And then right at the top of these pages, there are two printable PDF documents that are a checklist that'll just get you started. It's a good foundation. And then some of the links are very specific to, like this one's equine, this one's livestock, and then the three main widely known animal welfare organizations in the United States. That's the AHA, ASPCA, HSUS. And then I highly recommend that you go to ready.gov. This is probably one of the best websites that you can visit to help you be prepared, because it's your in my opinion, it's your tax dollars at its best here. It's a government website. You can click on disasters and emergencies, and it has a link to all of these different subjects or topics or areas of emergencies or disasters that can help you prepare for these events. Let me click on, where's the hurricane? Here's the hurricane one. And so it just gives you general information about hurricanes, and then how to stay safe during a hurricane, returning home after a hurricane, all these different things here to help you get prepared. So you've got to go to this website, especially if you've never done any of this before. This is a great place to get started. And then next, I urge you to, if you have the time and the motivation, be part of your local community emergency response team, your CERT team, because that is a great way to stay connected to what's going on in the local area there. Oftentimes you'll get alerts through the Everbridge system as to just stuff that's happening on there that the average citizen's probably not going to know about. In addition to that, it's a great place to go get free training. Let me say that word again. Oh, 2 words. Free training as it relates to emergencies. It's a great place to go. It's an invaluable resource, and you want to be kind of an insider, that's the place to go and do it. Okay? And then I can't say it enough, how to try and convince you to make sure that your animal has a identification microchip implanted. So you go over to the AVMA's website, and they've got all of the most frequently asked questions here that will alleviate any kind of stresses or whatever. Go there, and if you have more questions and you want to get in contact with your veterinarian. Okay, so that, let me go back there for a minute. And then each one of these subgroups, the animal, large animal, whatever, at the bottom of there's going to be a YouTube playlist. I have personally watched every minute of these videos for accurate and valuable content. So I highly recommend that you go and watch the videos, even for the species that you might not have in your house, because each of these videos on YouTube was done by a different person, so they have a different perspective, and it's really good in terms of getting you into the right mindset, and you can see how different people do things. So it gives you like invaluable information as far as ideas. It will inspire you. I could hardly think that if you would watch these videos and not be inspired in some way. And some of these people are doing it exactly the way that we would do it. There's one video of a lady. I'm absolutely impressed with her plan. She did a really good job. So I just jump over here real quick. I'm just about ready to wrap this up. Once again, we're in the exotic species. Although some animals might be considered exotic species, they're actually under the small animal section. But this is geared towards more like parrots, snakes, lizards, that kind of species there. And there's not a whole lot of stuff, but there are some really not a lot of websites that I've seen, but there are some really great YouTube videos for those species there. So about half that playlist is reptiles and snakes. The other half is parrots, when it could also be applicable to your more exotic birds. Okay, and then the small animal one, it could be hamsters, ferrets, dogs, cats, rabbits, any kind of small animal like that. And once again, we've got a playlist. I don't remember how many videos are on that playlist, but there are a lot of varying opinions on there, and some great videos that teach you everything from how to do it yourself, little carry crates for something like hamsters and guinea pigs, to I forgot what. There's a lot of stuff. Go check it out. It's well worth your time. And then don't forget to check out our website. Take a look around over there. Maybe you'll find something cool. Always go to our blog. And, okay, that's all I'm going to do on the website there. Okay, now that I've got that on full screen, okay. I can't get it off of the full screen. Go back to my notes. And let's see, I did checklist. I did the checklist. I did the ways to get notified. I showed you these various checklists here. Oh, that's the closing of my videos. Oh, one of the things I wanted to say, as far as like fire response, the fire department here in is not going to respond during an actual hurricane when it's at its height here, and so you have to have a plan in place, which is where our plan is like that firefighter that they showed at the beginning of the video. We're rolling out the 2.5. We're hooking into the hydrant, and we're going to be fighting fire with hydrant pressure. And then also short of that, I've got a fire cart that I made out of a Harbor Freight welding cart. It's got 2 water cans on it. So these are water-only fire extinguishers. Firefighters will know what I mean when I just say these are 2 cans. And then these are 2 10-pound CO2 extinguishers. And then there's 2 5-pound CO2 ABC, dry chemical extinguishers there. There's a firefighting helmet, a turnout coat, and welding gloves that will allow me to use this stuff a lot more effectively than if I didn't have some type of protection from the heat and debris. And then there's also a large welding blanket from Harbor Freight in there that can be used as a fire blanket. That for the reasons you want to use a fire blanket. I just wanted to give you that as something that you can see that it may inspire you to go, oh wow, there's so many different things I can do. Remember, it's all going to be overwhelming at the beginning. Start off slow, go to those websites, use your checklist, and start with what you have in your house. Don't go out and start buying a bunch of stuff. Start with what you have in your home. Begin there, and then work your way out, okay? But here's the thing. Everyone on any budget can be prepared, okay, and have a good disaster and emergency plan. Let's go back to what he said. Ignoring authorities may become a necessity to survive. I'm going to tell you, there's things I can't tell you to do. I can only tell you what my response is. There's not anybody going to get in my way if I need to get out of an area to save my own life, and I've got a roadblock up there, and they're like, no, you can't, you're not allowed to leave. That person's not going to stop me from leaving. All right? So that's me. You do you, but ignoring authorities may be your best option, but you have to decide on that. The other side of that is they may be trying to keep you out of an area that's worse than where you're fleeing. So there's 2 sides to that, and you got to be situationally aware to know and make the right decision. And then also document everything, because it might become evidence at some point. You want to document your home before. Video, there's nothing better than video that shows everything in the house, photographs, furniture. Open your cupboards up so you can see I have glasses in there, they're not empty. Everything. What was in the refrigerator, what the refrigerator looks like, all of it. And then after, some of the best footage that comes out of Maui happened immediately after that. There's some great footage from, darn it, I don't have his channel up, but there's a really good footage that came out of there from a real estate guy who did flyovers with a drone and covered the entire, he did almost a grid pattern of that, so you could see exactly what's going on there. And so document everything before and after. I hope that you found this video useful. I hope that I've shortened it down from the original, which was very long. And keep in mind, every video that you've seen in this presentation here will be, all of those links will be down in the description on the YouTube video. They'll be in the description there. And then the website will be posted up on the that'll be up on the screen, so you don't have to worry about that. And then just be aware, don't freak out. You can do it. You can absolutely you can do it. You can always use the contact us form on our website to ask questions. We'll be try to answer your question to the best of our ability, or send you to a source that's more knowledgeable than I am. Because right now it's just me operating this thing by myself. And what else can I say? Please go to our website, sign up for our newsletter. You're going to get notifications of blogs, videos, product reviews as it relates to animal welfare. What you won't receive is a bunch of emails begging you for money or trying to blast you with every animal that's up for adoption on the planet. We will never do that. If you want to make a donation, you're free to, or not. Okay. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you like and share the videos with your friends, your coworkers, and then it doesn't. I don't even think it matters if you subscribe to the channel, but that's really nice that if you do. Well, I hope I thought of everything. This video was just meant to be a brief overview to inspire you, to motivate you, and I hope that it works out good for you. And remember, and more importantly, we don't have any animals in the room with me right now, but we love you, and we cannot tell you how grateful we are for all of the support and the love that you give to us. All right, that's it, Big Boss. We are out.